Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim Nakrin. Getting to some of the top stories that we're following right now, top of mind is this Supreme Court ruling on the controversial abortion pill mifepristone. Just a short time ago, the highest court of the land decided to preserve access to this medication that is actually used in nearly 2/3 of all abortions. At least it was used in nearly 2/3 of all abortions last year. And this is the court's first abortion decision since Roe versus Wade was overturned 2 years ago. And really noteworthy that conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote for the court in this unanimous decision that federal courts are the wrong forum for addressing the plaintiff's concerns about the FDA's actions. So what he's referring to essentially is that the plaintiffs here challenging accessibility to mifepristone, the court ruled did not have the legal right to do so, that this dispute was actually brought by a group of anti-abortion rights doctors and medical associations, but the Supreme Court justices ruled that these individuals did not have the legal standing to bring this challenge, and so as a result, mifepristone is going to remain widely available, at least for now, in the U.S. So I want to bring in now a local physician who works in reproductive rights, and thank you so much for being with us. Apologize, just looking at these at kind of the graphics here. Dr. Mimi Zieman, thank you so much for being with us. So obviously you're a women's health advocate, you're an OBGYN. What's your feeling about the ruling today?
The ruling upholds the FDA's authority to determine what medications are safe and effective. Mifepristone has undergone rigorous scrutiny by the FDA, and this court case was an attempt to undermine that and try to get a medication that has been proven safe and effective off the market. SCOTUS wasn't buying that, and by a unanimous decision has upheld the authority of the FDA.
So, as it stands right now, mifepristone can be mailed to people across the country. There are some legal restrictions surrounding that, but the reality, it seems, is that it's fairly widely available. We know that abortion is now banned in 14 states, and there are restrictions in many other states now after about 6 weeks of pregnancy, including here in Georgia, where we have the so-called heartbeat law. After a fetal heartbeat is detected, an abortion is no longer legal. You, in your work, you say that it's you have, obviously you work in reproductive health. You say that mifepristone has become really kind of a go-to in many cases, certainly for medication abortion.
Yes, mifepristone was first approved in 1989 in France, and in the US has been used for over 20 years by millions of women, over 100 peer-reviewed articles in the literature, very well studied. It is the gold standard for medication abortion, which now accounts for most abortions.
Yeah, and again, 2/3 of all abortions last year were performed using mifepristone, and there have been more than 6 million people who've used mifepristone since the year 2000. I want to point out that this ruling today was one based on procedural grounds, and so this issue could come up again. There could be new legal challenges to accessibility of mifepristone. How concerned are you about that?
Well, I'm very concerned about all of the attacks on women's reproductive health and rights. As an OBGYN, I want the safest medications and procedures available for women, evidence-based procedures. We've undergone a lot of training to become OBGYNs. We just want to offer the best care for our patients. By the way, mifepristone is also this gold standard for early management of miscarriage. And so we really do not favor any legislative interference into the medical exam room where I am right now, where I am trying to offer the best care for my patients.
That's interesting. So can you explain what you mean by that? It's the gold standard for the management of miscarriage?
Early miscarriage, yes. That before the availability of medications, to manage miscarriage and abortion, everything was done by surgical procedures such as a DNC. But now we have medication options. Mifepristone is the most effective of those and safe. If this was taken off the market, there would be alternatives, but they would be not quite as effective. And, women would have to go through more side effects.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time here. One final question I have for you. Is it required that women physically come in order to get access to a doctor's visit here in Georgia in order to gain access of mifepristone?
Not to gain access to mifepristone, but yes, to determine their eligibility. They have to undergo an ultrasound to ensure that there's no, as you said, fetal heartbeat visible to
Got it.
proceed with an abortion.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, OBGYN Dr. Mimi Zieman. So appreciate you sharing your expertise and your analysis. And we're going to have much more on Atlanta News First Plus and our free mobile news app. Thanks for being with us.